Right. All right. So the topic today is about the executive summary
Yep.
that we currently have on staging
Yep.
in live view. So what we did is some changes to the page itself after gathering some requirement and discussing with Steph, the PM. So I'll show you the proposed iteration here.
Right.
Yep. So what you see at the top is probably like the inspection outcome. In
Yep.
this case, is acceptable.
Yep.
It's valid till, for example,
Whatever.
November 22 over a
Yep.
12-month period.
Yep.
The total number of findings for this vessel is 49, and the percentage here shows that there is a drop of 12%. That will mean that there's an improvement on the inspection for this vessel in
Yep.
comparison to the previous inspection. And then as we move down the page, we will see finding by risk level. And we have these filters whereby you could filter the risk level, the sections if you want to, and the causation of it. So in the first view, you will just see that, all the risk level, high, medium, low. And the number on the right, for example, 25, is the total number of findings
Yep.
under medium risk, and the breakdown of 14 and 11 based on regulatory and industry standard. And what's on
Okay.
the right is the findings by cause. So we have we break down into people, process, and plant.
Yep.
And in the same case is the total number of findings and the breakdown between regulatory and industry standard. And then as we move down to the page, what we will see here is the top 5 repeated findings by sections, and that is by risk level. And you can hover around the numbers. For example, if I hover around 4, I could see that under medium risk, there is 2 regulatory and 2 industry standard. And then the color code will be low, medium, and high. And if I want to see all sections outcome, I can click on this, and it will bring me to show me a view of all the section outcomes. And on the right itself, it will only the same chart, 5 repeated findings by sections, and that is breakdown by cause. And you'll see people, process, and plant, and then the breakdown of each as you hover along the numbers itself. And if you do want to see view all sections, you can click on this, and it'll bring you to a full review of the findings besides the top 5. So as we move down the page, we will see this inspection trend line. And where we are right now, we are in this dotted line, moving on to the third inspection. So as for now, we are still in the period of a second inspection. And then it's being break down by regulatory and industry standard. And then on the right itself, the last chart that we see is the C time of key personnel, whereby we have the ranking of the junior and the senior tech officers and junior and engineer and senior engineer officers. So that is what we are proposing right now for the revamp of the existing executive page that we see here.
Right. Couple of
Yeah.
questions for you. I assume that when you're using the, can you open that screen up a bit more? When you're using the findings by risk level, I take it that those findings by risk level are from the final report when it's closed, not the computer generated risk, right? Because what happens at the moment is when the findings go in, they're given an automatic risk level, and whether that is high, medium, low, or regulatory or industry. However, one of the jobs of the inspection superintendent is to determine whether that computer generated assessment of the finding is correct. So, for instance, lifeboat. Now, if there's an issue, as soon as it sees the word, as soon as the question involving lifeboats is identified with a no, right? It, as a finding, it will automatically go to high and regulatory, because that's the way that question is set up. Now, it may well be that I look at it and I determine that the problem with the lifeboat in this particular case is something really minor that doesn't warrant a high rating. Maybe it warrants a medium rating or a low rating. So during the process of closing the inspection, we change, we review whatever the computer has given us, but we're there to change it and say high and regulatory is not appropriate for this finding. This is a minor finding, which should really be graded low. So I think the important thing for me to understand here is that the source data for this is after the inspection is closed out, because if you take it on the computer generated rating, then clearly that may not be the final rating. That, I mean, at the end of the day, do you follow my drift?
Yeah.
So
So
I don't know where the source data is coming from. Is the source data coming into the system when at the moment that the findings are uploaded to the platform? If so, that's not what we need. We need, I see that this one's been marked as acceptable. So that means that the closeout has been received, the inspection has been reviewed by a superintendent, and the appropriate high, medium, low, and regulatory and best practice or industry practice has been assessed for the questions. So that's my first question.
Right.
In terms of what you're demonstrating here, right? That's, yes, finding by risk level, good. Finding by cause, okay, yeah, I like all this. With one caveat, right? And that is that one of the things that we asked for in a ticket, and I see that you've put the top 5 findings, repeated findings by section. What we're looking for is an inspection 6 months ago found that question 2.7 was a no. So what we really want to identify is when the next inspection comes into the platform, if question 2.7 is there again, and for question 2.7 to be highlighted at that point. Would it help if I shared you how we close something out? Would that help to understand?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure. Yes,
all right,
please.
let me see if I can just hold with me a minute while I find I've got one on the go actually. So let me go to just give me a second. I need to find, I was discussing a ship with Krushu. What's the okay, let me share my screen. I'm sure that this is, I mean, the work you've done in terms of display is great. It's where the source data is coming from and the assumptions that are being made. Let me see if I can get you back on the screen. Share my screen. This one. Okay. So let me just move you out of the way. Okay, so here are the findings. Now, let's take, I know about this ship because this is a ship that's got 81 findings and we're probably going to find it unacceptable. So you can see here where it says grade finding, right?
Yeah.
The finding is already, so when I open this up, it'll tell you that the grading has already been decided as medium and industry standard, right? Now I look at this and I can say, I mean, I can change this because at the moment the data is not being We're not actually using this data at the moment because we're still all becoming familiar with what to do. But let's say I read the finding and I said, well, yeah, okay, the announced, this is probably not a good example. Let me see if I can find a better one. Radar performance. Okay, so grade the finding here. It's already decided it's low and it's industry standard. But I might say, well, the radar performance was tested once a month, not every watch, right? Well, that's not low risk. That's actually high risk, or that's medium risk. So when I close this out, I go to medium. Okay. Then I go to the nature of the cause.
Mm.
Okay. So, and I accept that it's not regulatory, it's industry standard, but I've now changed this, right? And then I go, okay, so in this particular case, it's probably process, and it's probably procedure clarity and understandability, accuracy and correctness. Let's say probably that one. What's it to do with navigation safety? Subset would be procedures, bridge resource, navigation, probably procedures for navigation, radar, aids to navigation. All right, so this is my decision tree. And then I go finalize. Okay. And then the grading is now been reviewed and found. And if I go back up to the top, you'll see that it tells you that one has been graded and there are still 80 to do. Okay. So the important thing is the data that you use in the summary needs to reflect the final grading here, because I've changed it. So to take the computer generated or the automatically pre-populated grading and finding when it goes into the system would be incorrect, because now I've decided, because if at the end of the day we're going to use the grading to grade the overall inspection, I might find 6 things are high grade, high risk, where the computer generated them as low risk. So that obviously affects things. So I don't know, as I say, I don't know where your data is coming from, and I wouldn't see it being an issue somehow for you to get this when it's finalized, because at the end of the day, your graph showed that the inspection had been marked as acceptable and completed. So in other words, obviously we don't want that data to show in your screen until it's marked as acceptable or unacceptable. We don't, because I say, if you're going to show high, medium, low before the inspection is closed, then obviously that data must be coming from the pre-population. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Now, the next thing is, what we would like is that in this particular case, say question 3.3. Now, ideally, what we would like is, if I go back here to overview, to the, so let's go to the, I'm sure it's had other inspections, activities. Oh, yeah, it's had a previous inspection. So what would be ideal would be if in this inspection, findings, okay, so there's a navigation question 3.9. Okay, now ideally, so 3.9 comes up in this inspection. What I'd like to know is, in the inspection we're dealing with now, not high, medium, or low, but is question 3.9, where's the current inspection? And this is what we were asking, so that I now sit down and I'm now looking at the next inspection, and I go, I would like, what I would like to see is that in findings, if finding 3.9 is here, which I don't know if it is, yeah, it is, right. So 3.9 now is a repeat finding. I would like somehow that this is highlighted to me, that this question was also a finding in the previous inspection, because now I can say they haven't, you know, they haven't properly dealt with this result. Whereas at the moment, the only way I can find this out is for me to go back to the previous inspection, open it. So what I'd like, even at the top here, that would be great, would be fantastic, would be not only not graded and graded, but would be 7 repeat questions or 7 repeat findings from the previous inspection. Are you with me? This may not have been part of your brief as to what you were tasked to do, and if that's the case, I apologize. But I'm trying to enunciate what, and I'm sure you can see my point of view that, you know, we've given we've got a finding from a previous inspection, right? They've come to us and said, yeah, we'll fix it, and we've taken that in good faith, right? And then we come along for the next inspection and we find actually same question turns up again. So we go, well, actually, you haven't fixed it then. So then we can now be more harsh on them and say, well, okay, now we're going to take that into account when we decide how much validity we give you. You know, in other words, yeah, if there's absolutely no duplicate questions, you've taken heed. It's great that the number of findings has come down. You're obviously doing the right thing. All good. We'll give you 6 months. But if we see that 10 questions have come up again, and they haven't done what they've said they'll do, I can make it unacceptable. It's like saying it's unacceptable. We gave you an opportunity to put this right. We gave you 3 months. You haven't done anything about it, or 6 months, or whatever we gave them. So to have your graph, which says, you know, the top 5 findings by section, doesn't really, because I mean, obviously section 2 is, you know, lots of questions in section 2, lots of questions in section 3, doesn't really give me, is not really very insightful for me as the person closing out the inspection.
Okay. So what we want to,
what I would like to see is to see this header here. Maybe this comes up in red, or comes up in or with a colored background or something to identify it, to say this is a repeat finding from the previous inspection.
Within this page itself, you mean?
Within this picture, or yeah, within this.
Within this page.
Within this page, yes.
Right. Okay.
Which is like I say, Zoe, I don't know what your brief was to build or to do, but I'm trying to explain to you what, in practical terms, what we're looking for to make our job easier, because we can't identify the duplicate findings without going back and opening the previous inspection and comparing the numbers one at a time, which is quite clearly not the way we should be going in this, you know, in this world, this digital world. We should be able to say, you know, oh, hold on, sorry, I can't talk now. We should be able to cross-match the question numbers. It's the numbers. It's not the text. It's the question numbers, and say there's a duplicate. You know, there's a duplication here, or there's 7 that have come up again. Right? Go away. Sorry, that's typical operations. Everybody wants everything on a Friday, especially. So.
Oh, sorry, cut you on
that's
the
okay.
wrong day.
No, it's okay. I mean, in terms of what you've created there, right? If we can, I'll unshare my screen. Somehow.
Okay.
Yeah, somehow do that. Here we go. Stop sharing. So, in terms of what you
share back my screen.
Yeah.
And we can.
I'm glad you recorded this. Anyway, so in terms of this showing me now, I'm working now on the basis that this data comes from the closed out inspection, right? Not from the pre-population of the findings when the list of findings is uploaded from into the platform at the first time. This is great, right? This is great. This has limited. This has limited value to me because it's general. I need specifics. I need something here which says there were 7 repeat findings in these sections. That would be more meaningful to me. In other words, or 10. So let's say there were 10 findings that were the number of which were duplicated. Yes, it would be useful for me to identify which section they were in, but I need to go back to the source document to say I need this highlighted to me somehow. This is a bit sort of this is too general. I need specifics.
Right, because this page is actually a summary. So it's
But your summary is better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you take me back to the to if you had here, or if you had identified the 10 questions that were duplicated, and there were 2 in section 1 and 3 in section 4 and 4 in section 2, that would be much more meaningful here in your summary. I mean, no problem with summarizing them. I'm asking for 2 things here. All right, I'm asking fine by summary, yeah, but not just the top 5, right? Repeat findings. Okay. In fact, for you to be able to say that there were repeat findings must mean there's some analysis of the findings from the previous inspection. Something must be going on behind the scenes here for you to be able to say that there are repeat findings. So what I'm really saying is, rather than the top 5, right, we would actually like to know just which section the repeat findings are in, how many of them there are. So the top 5 doesn't give me the whole picture.
Okay, so you're saying it's not so much by the section, it's more of the issue itself.
Well, it's 2 things. It is by the section. So I mean, obviously, if we've got 7 repeat findings in only the navigation section, right, then that shows me that they haven't, that is an area of focus. We need to go back to them and say, we've got the 7 repeat findings in the navigation area. Quite clearly, you need to do a navigation audit. You need to improve your navigation procedures. However, if it's spread through the ship, if there's 2 in the navigation section and 2 in the ship structure and 3 in the machinery space, right, that shows that generally they're not, it provides us with a bit more of an insight. So there must be repeat findings. There must be some analysis that's been done for you to be able to pick the top 5. What I'm saying is, rather than the top 5, I'd like to know how many in each section, and then you could break it down into regulatory, industry standard, and you could also break it down into plant, people, and process. That would be great. But I don't want the top 5. I want them all.
You want more?
I want them all by section. And I also want over here in the actual document itself, I want the duplicate ones highlighted so that I can look at, when I'm looking at it, I can say, well, this is a duplicate finding.
Sorry, give me a minute.
You want me to share my screen again?
Yeah, sure. Maybe you just share your screen again. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's being recorded, so you can, so ideally, I can't move the other way. So ideally what I'd like to see is, as I scroll down through here, that somehow the navigation, there was no navigation light failure alarm procedure, right? So I would like to say, well, if this was the same question was answered the same way in the previous inspection, I would like to see this text here highlighted, or the background of this box made a different color, somehow something to tell me you need to pay special attention to this finding because it's a repeat. Right? Then,
Yeah, within this findings page, because this
yes,
page belongs to the findings.
this is the findings page. Yeah, we go back up the top here. This is findings.
Yeah, findings page, yes.
So, you know, as I say, there must be some analysis that's going on with your data that enables you in the executive summary to identify that there are repeat findings. So, as I see it, it's already happening, right? You're already doing it. But what I need is I need a bit more. I need, as otherwise, if I just go to the executive summary page and you say, oh, there's 3 findings in this section that are duplicate, that were found in the previous inspection. Which ones? You know, that's not helps. Doesn't help me. I need to say, well, okay, the radar performance, this one here. Okay, now I'm most likely going to have to go back to the previous inspection and read exactly what did question 3.3 say. Is it the same? Because some questions can have different answers. So sometimes the question in against the number can have 3 different parts. Are the radars okay? Is the ECDIS okay? Are the windscreen wipers okay? All right, so maybe the last one was the windscreen wipers. Maybe this one is the ECDIS. So all it needs to, we just need it highlighted to the person reviewing the closeout that that this is a repeat, that this is a duplicate. Can I ask you to just hold on for 1 second?
Sure.
Just give me, oh, hold on a minute. Just hold on a second. I just need to, hold on one. Sorry about that, Zoe. Call of nature.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's so. I'm pretty sure you have most of. Well, I'm pretty sure that obviously, if you've got the repeat findings, you've obviously there's some tool that's been built to actually provide that. We just need that little bit more. We need it the duplicate identified here, and we need a slight change to the way that you demonstrate those bottom 2 graphs. We need which sections they're in,
Which
and
section they're in? Okay.
and then you can break it down into regulatory, best practice, and we can break it down to high, medium, low.
Let me share back the. So
This is the one.
So
We don't just need the top 5. We need all the sections that are affected. You've got
uh
view all, you've got view all section here, right?
yeah, but
So we
it
need
would be impossible to show all in this summary page, because what I meant by summary is something more concise.
So you're hang around. So if you click on the view all, does that what happens now?
I don't have a page here at the moment, but it will shows other than the repeated 5 findings, but all the findings.
Well, if there's a box at the bottom that we can click on that shows them all, and you just want to show me the top 5, that's fine as long as we can open that view all section box.
Yeah. This will lead you to a more detailed view, other than the 5 repeated findings.
Okay. Well, that's okay. That's
so,
okay.
But what you're saying, you is that you want to know
Yes.
the issue itself and not
Yes.
just the section in this view?
No. In this view, because I mean, this is an executive summary, right? So that's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I'm saying is that while you're at it, or while giving us an executive summary is great, but we want the detail. We want it identified in the body of the book, if you like, not just in the index. We want it identified at a question level in the findings.
At the question level.
Which you must be able to do because you've already identified which questions have been duplicated in order to come up with the top 5 repeated findings.
So, are you saying that in this executive summary, other than the repeated findings, for example, in this view, it's just the top 5. If you want to see more, you have to click this. And then under each section,
no.
You want if you to can be.
No. This is fine. If you can open this up to cover all sections, right? This shows us. Yeah. This is good, right? It'll show us where the sections are that have repeat findings. That's fine. So what you've created here is fine, providing we can open that up and see them all, not just the top 5. But we also need that further step, which is to identify the questions in the list of findings that are the duplicates. Because at the moment you're giving me a summary, but you're not giving me the source information in the page that you're summarizing.
Okay. So on this executive summary, what you would like to see from here is that it can lead me to a view whereby I can understand. I can understand instantly which are the issue under a particular section that has been repeating.
Well, so go back to your your graph as it is okay. It's just rather than say top 5, right? It would be perhaps better to just say, well, I can't quite read the text. Maybe it's me that's not big enough. Here we go. That's a bit better. Rather than have the word, can you scroll about? Somehow I can't quite see. Yeah. So rather than have top 5 repeated findings, right? I would prefer to just see repeated findings by section, right? And then have you can put you can list these, but we want to be able to see if all sections. So it's okay because this is a summary, isn't it?
Yeah.
I understand you've got limited room on the page, right? So
yeah,
so that's okay. So just showing the top 5 is fine, and then view all sections. That's also fine, really, right? So in other words, if there's top 5 reported findings by section, top 5 repeated findings by section.
Yeah, but it's under risk level. So it's being break down into high, medium, low.
Yeah, but what do the numbers at the end mean? There's 2 and 3 and 11 and 13?
So for example, in this one, there is total 13 findings.
That have been repeated or not? No.
Not that, but under the section itself, because it's repeated findings by sections.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's no. So if there's 13 findings in ship structure,
so this
I
13
only
being
want to
break
know.
down.
I can see that adds up to 13.
Mm.
I'm more interested in the number of repeated findings in each section. I don't need to know that there's 13 there. I need to know if there are 2 repeated findings in ship structure, and if there are 2 in fuel management and 1 in hatch cover, so I can actually identify, or I can build a picture in my mind of how widespread the repeat findings are. So to give me the fact that there are 13 that there are 13 findings doesn't really help me. I want to know how many of those 13 are repeat findings, because that's what repeated findings by section.
Yeah. So that's why it's 13 here. 3.
So you're saying there's 13 repeat findings, or there's 13 findings?
13 repeated findings.
Oh, well, if they're repeated findings,
under this
okay,
top 5
so that's fine
sections.
Then. Yeah, that's all right then. That's fine. In which case, if there's 13 repeated findings,
yeah,
that's great. But if there are, if you're saying there's 13 findings of which a lesser number are repeats, then that's not right. But if you're saying there's 13 repeated findings, which would be quite a lot, but yeah, that's fine. What you've provided is fine. But we need 2 things in summary. One is we need to make sure the data you're using is from the final appraisal of the ship after it's been closed, not the data that is loaded into the platform initially, or the computer assessment.
Closed.
Yep. And the second thing is
after the inspection is closed.
Yep. And the second thing we're looking for is identification of the individual questions which are repeats.
Yeah, as you can see here, the number here shows.
Yep, well, that shows you that there's 13 in the ship structure. So I'd like to be able to go to ship structure and say, and have it something visual show me, this is one of those 13. This is another one. This is another one.
Okay. So basically you are saying from here, you would like to navigate to somewhere whereby.
Well, I don't need to navigate. No, this by itself is fine, right? It's on the closeout page where I want it identified. I don't need to navigate back to the page.
Okay. So what we see here in this chart, is it sufficient enough?
Yes, that's fine.
It is sufficient.
Providing we can view all sections, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
So when you click on that, it becomes full page, and then you shrink it down again, right?
We haven't decided how it should be navigated. Whether it's a pop-out.
Yeah, all right. A pop-out.
Yeah, a pop-out to show all the repeated findings. Yeah.
So this is good, but so there's 2 things that I like. So yeah, this is good. As I say, the first thing is to make sure the data you're using is from the completed inspection report, because we have the ability, and we often do, change the computer generated assessment of the question. The second thing is we'd like the actual questions themselves identified as the repeats.
Okay. The question itself that is identified as repeat.
Yep, that's it. Just like that.
So from this page, you would like to navigate to that level?
No, don't need to navigate from here to there. No. No,
All
no,
right.
because we have to go through every single one anyway. It's just that as we're going from top to bottom, right, we come across a highlighted box that says, right, okay, this is a repeat finding. Let me go back and look in the previous inspection and see what that was and see what this one is. Yeah.
Okay, but that is under the findings tab, right?
Correct.
That you would like to see
Yes,
something.
yes,
Let's
that's
say
right.
if this is repeated, you want it to be
In
highlighted so that you
red,
know
or the
that.
background to be purple
Oh,
or something. Yeah,
right. So that's under the findings page.
yeah.
But
This
for
findings page.
executive, mm,
This is
but for
okay. Executive
executive
summaries.
summary,
It's okay.
this chart, the way it's being presented, is good enough
Yep,
information to
yep,
understand
yep,
for a summary page.
yep. And we don't need this to be interactive to take you back, to what
Okay,
they
yeah,
are. We don't need
sure,
that.
yeah. Mm. And what about this chart? Is it
Yeah, it's
showing?
okay. Yeah, by
Is
section,
good
by course. Yeah,
enough?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, do you,
Provided again, we can view all sections. Yeah.
yeah. So is there a need to from this chart to go to the level of knowing the cost of the area of concern?
I don't think so, because I think that's something that no doubt can be extracted in a Power BI report
Mm,
on a much bigger base. On an individual inspection basis, I would say no.
okay. And what about this trend line chart?
Yeah, good. No problem with trend lines. Like them.
Mm. And
Nope.
the key
C time.
personnel? Yes.
C time
Yes,
with
C
key
time.
personnel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any other information that we need other than ranking and the years?
I don't believe so. I mean, we've recently introduced gender into it, but I don't think that's something that's more, again, can be extracted in a Power BI report. How many is gender there now? I think, yeah, gender's
No.
there. Yeah, it is
Gen.
next to rank.
Oh yeah,
Gender.
but that's
All right.
it's
So
not
that's only
there.
just been added because management are trying to ascertain how many female seafarers there are, and there aren't many, but um, we've only just made this modification to the crew matrix. There'll be no
Do
data anyway.
do we need to show master, chief officer, second officer, and third officer?
No, I don't think so. Senior officers are master, chief officer, chief engineer, second engineer. Well, senior deck
So
officers, master, chief officer. Senior engineers, chief and second. Juniors are second and third, third engineer electrical. That's okay.
so
I
in
mean, no,
this,
at the moment,
mm,
nobody's using this anyway, right?
mm,
We're just collecting this data for use
okay.
down the track to be able to mine it. We're not,
So
there is no
mm,
prerequisite that says, you must have, um, unlike tankers, where you have to have an aggregate number of years of experience and so forth, otherwise it fails. We don't have a pass fail on this question. This is just information.
so in this executive summary, is this sufficient?
Yeah.
Just this will do.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
At this
Maybe
point in
I.
time,
Mhm.
maybe down the track, someone will say, we need to be alerted when there's less than 12 years combined experience between the captain and the chief officer. I mean, we're just not, we just don't use it at the moment. As I say, we're displaying it, which is of interest, but have we factored it into our vetting outcomes or our inspection determinations? No, it's just data collection at this stage, right? So say down the track, there may be a BHP comes to us and says, look, we want to start carefully looking at the experience level of the senior officers. And then we've got all this historic data. We can say, well, we see that actually, if you want to implement this kind of requirement, we can see that half the ships that you've used, you won't be able to use because they don't meet your requirement. So we're just collecting data. That's all we're doing there
I
at the
see.
moment. But if we are to follow the way that the tanker industry has gone, then we will use that data eventually. because the tanker industry have requirements that say the combined years of sea time experience between the captain and the chief officer needs to be a minimum of 10 years or something. So the captain can have been 9 years and the chief mate can have been 1, and it's acceptable. They could be 5 each. But if combined they only come to eight years, then tanker companies have rules that say, no, we're not accepting the ship, or the ship is to be rejected because there's insufficient aggregate experience between the senior officers. But we don't use it at the moment. So I think what you've got there is adequate for now.
Okay, maybe I'll just recap on what we are covering for today for executive summary. Basically, we have, like I was saying, we have this finding by risk level, whereby we can filter between risk level section and causation. And then we will show in the first view medium, high, and low. And then we see the breakdown. And then the finding by cause under people, process, and plant. And then we see the breakdown. And like what you're saying, it's fine that we show the top 5 repeated findings. With the access to click on view all whereby we could see all sections. But the breakdown here is concise enough for executive summary. And that's all we need for now.
Because we've always got Power BI behind here that can go in and specifically target. I mean, this is a summary. We don't want to make the summary too cumbersome.
Yeah, that's right. And then what we have is the repeated findings by section under the cost. And then we have the trend line, and then we have the sea time. So that is the revision that we have done. Is there anything else that you feel that is missing right here?
No.
So all good for this?
All good for this. With my explanation about the source of the data and going back to the findings page, identifying which ones are duplicates. Now, if that needs a separate ticket, then there is already a ticket in play for that, because we've asked for it, because it you know, to not compare one inspection with the previous one is essentially means you're not doing a fully thorough job. We need to find out if the systemic issues with regard to fixing these findings. So, and the only way you can work out if the systemic failings is to compare one with the previous one with the previous one.
So the next improvement we want to do under the findings tab is that we want to see what is identified as duplicate that has been repeating and not resolved. Okay, cool. So 2 things, right, for this one. Right. And then okay, that's good. So that's what I would like to show for today for executive summary.
No problem.
Thanks for your feedback.
Okay. Thank you, Zoe. I'm glad we finally managed to talk to each other. Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm not showing my face because
that's okay.
I'm working from home, so
that's okay. No, don't worry. You don't need to. But anyway, as I say, some minor technical problems to start. But yeah, all good. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Have a great weekend,
time, Tony. We'll keep you updated on the findings page.
Okay. No worries.
Thank you. You have a good weekend. Bye-bye.